Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Migraine Mentors minicast. We are your hosts of the Migraine Mentors. My name is Dr. Erik Reis, and I'm here with my colleague, co-founder, Dr. Thompson Maesaka. Dr. Maesaka, how are we doing today?
Doing well, man. Doing very well today. Start to a great week. Got some, once again, very interesting patients that are challenging but rewarding on the books. So can't complain. How are you? How's the dad life?
Dad life is good. Hendrix is moving around a bit more. He's being a bit more interactive. He's starting to smile, which is like always super cool. You think it's always you, and then you see him smiling like at like the side of a plant, and you're like, I guess maybe it isn't just always me, but no, things are good. You have a gig on Wednesday. Do you want to just tell everybody a bit about that?
Yeah. We're one of my other bands is playing our first gig outdoors in Bloomington at a food truck festival. So that's the first one for that band, and also playing a '90s tribute band. We have another gig at the end of this month at a city festival in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. So it's always fun. Cousins band is called Feel Good Inc., and the '90s band is called Flannel.
Love it. Awesome. So go
Great
check them
lifelong.
out if you are in Minneapolis and Minnesota. Yeah. Our topic today is something that we've touched on in the past, and I feel like it's something that continues to come around both clinically when we're working with patients, but then also too with people that reach out to us from the Migraine Mentors. So we're talking about B vitamins today, and B vitamins, people have heard about them, people may be taking them, but why are they relevant? Why are they important? Why do they impact people who struggle with migraine? An interesting question, and Thompson, for you, would love to just maybe have you just give a bit of backstory on B vitamins and why this is relevant to the migraine community.
Yeah, the family of B vitamins has so many interrelated roles specific to just maintaining energy production and managing inflammation and converting neurotransmitters into hormones. We won't get super into the nitty gritty of all of that stuff today. We'll post a paper that you can read if you're interested. But specifically for migraine, this family of vitamins has so much to do with regulating some key processes that tend to be really at the heart of why migraines occur. So that's one of the first things that we put everybody on when they come into the clinic is a B vitamin for so many just low hanging fruit reasons. If you look at the research, every single paper that comes with nutrients and migraines always mentions B vitamins, and specifically the whole, what they would call a complex. So there are a whole family of them. All of them kind of have specific roles, but they all interplay with each other to carry out these processes. So they are essential, are completely 100% a staple in any holistic migraine plan for a number of reasons that we'll talk through today. Before we were on, Dr. Reese was telling me about, I think we covered it earlier, didn't we? There's like a bunch of different medications that actually deplete B vitamins. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
Can you remember what those
we
are?
yeah we did an early write up on this. Metformin is one of them that I remember for sure. And for those who don't know what metformin is a classic like diabetic or diabetes medication. Most of the time for type 2, it's there to lower and balance your HbA1c and some metabolic markers. But there were a couple other ones that surprised me as well with doing some research. So one of the early ones we wrote about was Topamax. And Topamax can deplete B vitamins. We know that different things like proton pump inhibitors. So if you have like heartburn, any like kind of like sort of medications that will alter your stomach acid can affect that because you're essentially changing the absorption of foods that go into your stomach. Therefore, you're not going to get the B vitamins in the active form or even have access to them. But I was also surprised to find out too that antidepressants, so SSRIs and SNRIs, also can cause B vitamin deficiencies, which I guess isn't surprising, but B vitamins are important for the conversion of the precursors to serotonin, and so it makes sense as to why they would be affected. Makes sense why SSRIs would then nearly affect that process. But those were things that I like, to be honest with you, like those are pretty far off my radar. A lot of patients come in taking metformin, taking SS. A lot of people are taking antacids. I don't know about you, Thompson, but like for me, now that that's on my radar, I feel like I'm more apt to kind of battle that and really understand why patients might be struggling with that. Further evidence to provide people just taking, a B complex. I know that there's some other things out there too that the B vitamins do as well too, specifically with like inflammation. Why don't you just touch on that and kind of give people another reason why I guess they should be taking B vitamins and not just holding off on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Specifically, I believe it's vitamin B9 has a lot to do with neurotransmitters emitter synthesis for one, but it helps regulate homocysteine levels, which is an inflammatory marker that we commonly look at just as a general indicator to how your system is producing and clearing inflammation. In our setting also, there's a really, really important factor with vitamin B12. It has a lot to do with energy production, but it also has a lot to do with myelination. So a lot of what we're doing with the rehab aspect of migraine is stimulating areas and helping them wind tighter in something called myelin. So if a nerve is wrapped really tightly and really thickly with this fatty tissue called myelin, the nerve impulse is able to travel very quickly, which is the signal of a healthy nerve, and vitamin B12 is really helpful for that. Then there's, again, without getting too far into the nitty gritty of it, energy production and inflammation and neurotransmitters are really what I look at and describe clinically as the three important reasons why you need B vitamins if you're having migraines. What are your talking points, Eric, when you talk through B vitamins? What are the sort of the high points that you like to hit?
Yeah, I mean, everything that you've just said and that we've alluded to. I think the other thing that kind of hits home for me personally is if you're a really poor methylator. So I know I have an MTHFR mutation, and that essentially, for those of you who don't know what that means, methylation is essentially like a light switch. So if you look at like your genes can kind of get flicked on and off. The process of methylation really is just saying, hey, we're just going to turn something on or turn something off. We'll kind of flag it with a methyl group, they'll call it. And that's all that it means. So, genes on, genes off, light switches on, light switches off, kind of the same process. There are a lot of individuals who struggle with converting inactive forms to active forms with regards to B vitamins. And so you can get, B9, B6, B12 in the active form, and a lot of times you can get it in the inactive form. Well, the problem with that is that if it's in the inactive form, it's a non-methylated form, your B vitamin or that molecule will occupy a site and it won't let it open. So it's kind of like if you put a key inside a door to unlock it and the key breaks. The key's in there, right? The key is supposed to work, but the process didn't actually work. And so for those who are poor methylators like myself, you can get like early grain. You can have more issues with detoxification. You can have different problems neurologically if you're really far down the rabbit hole and you're not paying attention to your diet and what your lifestyle choices are. So there's more research coming out about methylation. I thought that was super interesting. And it's the same stuff that you talked about with that B6, B9, B12 pathway. So that's another. To be fair, my kind of default answer for a lot of patients when they ask about like which vitamins should I be taking, I just give them a B complex and say, listen, this is going to cover all of your bases. You don't have to know all of the information, all the things that we're talking about and referencing here. Just knowing that a active methylated B complex vitamin for you if you take migraine is probably going to be one of the simplest and most effective things you can do to manage your migraine symptoms outside of some of the things that we commonly would talk about. So that's usually my talking point, and most people are like, okay, cool. They're kind of over it and they're ready to move on.
Yeah, agree. I would say the only side effect I've ever heard anybody report is their urine looks like it's highlighter green.
Yeah, that's which sometimes can be fun, and then other times it can be scary if you don't realize it.
Yeah,
The
if you
other
forget that you
caveat I
took
will
insulin.
say, exactly. The other caveat I will say is, have you ever experienced a niacin flush before?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I have too. Lydia and I started taking B vitamins. It was in this longevity complex, and I was doing it when we were living in London. And her and I took the capsules, and all of a sudden we were on the tube. And Lydia's like, I feel so hot. I was like, well, it's kind of warm in here. And she's like, no, I feel like really, really hot. And all of a sudden, like her arms and her face started getting like beet red. And I was like, oh my God, I think you're having like an allergic reaction to something. And she's like, oh my God, it's happening to you too. And so we both looked like tomatoes, two American tomatoes sitting in like the tube in London traveling. It stuck with us for a half an hour. And I finally realized what was going on by the end of it, but it was so scary and weird. So just be careful when you're taking high doses of, different forms of B vitamins. That can be a side effect.
Yeah, and if you are taking anything off of, like if you have stomach issues and you're on medications for proton pump inhibitors or anything for acid reflux, if you've ever had a history of stomach problems, which if you've been on a series of medications is not uncommon, there are options also if you take a methylated B vitamin and you still are unable to absorb it and actually use what you're taking, they do make shots. I've heard those are especially helpful for people that just can't absorb nutrients. That can sometimes be a problem if you've been on a lot of medications for a really long time and your gut health is needs some work. The way that you can still get that nutrition is through a shot, so you just don't have to digest it. So if you've tried all the B vitamins and you've never seen relief with those, I would encourage you to look into injectable vitamins. Those have been especially helpful for people with stomach issues.
Good shout. Good shout. And that's a great point for us to end off as well, too. Thank you for those of you who joined us. For those of you who are subscribers to the newsletter, thank you again for supporting us. We can't thank you enough. It's great to hear from you. We love seeing that people are opening it and reading it, and it's just growing slowly but surely. For those of you who are just joining us, we publish a newsletter every Wednesday morning at 6 a.m. Central Time. We are the Migraine Mentors, and our goal is to educate you, empower you, and inform you to understand how to take control of your health and own your healthy habits. Once again, I'm Dr. Reis. This is with my colleague, Dr. Thompson Maesaka, and we are your migraine mentors. We look forward to seeing you again at next week's episode.